Hey, this is Lee from Play Guitar Academy. I help frustrated guitar players get back to getting better at the guitar. Today we're taking the next step with arpeggios. We're going to answer the question, how do I use arpeggios? Well, we're going to use them first for target notes. When we learn arpeggios, and you're going to have a sheet that goes along with this series of videos. I'll play that for you right now. These are the notes that we're going to have in our... There's our D major arpeggio. 5th fret on the A, 4th fret on the D, 2nd fret on the G, 3rd fret on the B, 2nd fret on the E, and then the 5th fret on the E as well. Outlines a C major shape. So that is the arpeggio off of the first one. The second one we have is the E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, C sharp diminished. Those are the ones that are on our worksheet for today. When you're playing those notes, and just playing them up and down just like I did, it sounds pretty neat at first. But if you use that in a song, it's just like you're playing your scales just up and down. It's not very effective. It sounds like an exercise. That's not the way we want to use them. We want to use these to break up our scales. And this is going to give us, when we know these arpeggios, these are going to be our strong notes. They're strong because they match the chord exactly that's being played at the time. The notes in the chord are the same notes that you're playing. All the other notes of the scale are weak. They want to move from these strong notes to another strong note. The strong notes match, the arpeggio notes match because they're the same exact notes in the chord. The other notes you move through to get to these. It's a tension and release. You're playing weaker notes and moving to stronger notes. Or you're making decisions. You could say, I don't want to resolve this right now. I want to have a tension, more tension. So I'm going to hold those weaker notes out for a while, the non-arpeggio notes. How long you play those, how long you hold those out, determines how much tension is in your line. And then at some point, whenever you decide to resolve that, that's when you can move on with your next idea. Breaking up your scales. That's what we're going to use. This is really the first way to start using arpeggios. And we're going to try this. We're going to go up to the 5th note of the scale using just straight up the scale. And then we're going to come back the arpeggio. So here's my D major arpeggio. And here's my D major scale pattern 4. So what we're going to try is, we know that the chord is playing is a D. We're going to go walk up to the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to come back the arpeggio. That combining of scale notes and arpeggio notes makes a big difference then. Right? That sounds like you're practicing. That's an easy way to start using arpeggios. That's a very good first step, to go up the scale to a certain point and then come back to the arpeggio. I picked the 5th because the arpeggio in D, root, 3rd, 5th. D, F sharp, A. So I went D, E, F sharp, G, A, and then went back the arpeggio A, F sharp to D. So we had our tension going forward, and we had our strong notes coming back. Why is this cool? What does it do for us? It gives us reasons to make wider jumps between notes. Listen to the melodies of the songs that you like. Listen to those melodies. Are they tight? Do they just go from a couple notes up and a couple notes down. They might for a little bit, but at some point, to get a dramatic sound, they may do a big jump. And usually it's to a strong note. When you're jumping, you don't want to jump to a weak note. So usually you may jump to an arpeggio note. And so being well versed in your arpeggios, it doesn't feel like you're, searching for a note. It feels like you intended to go to a strong note. It sounds like confident playing. So it's really important to do that. And it's one of the easiest ways to stop sounding aimless in your solos. It's really all about weak notes and strong notes. And when you're searching around, when you're hunting for the right note, people can tell, that the listener can tell. But when you're confident in what you're playing and okay, I'm going to play some notes here, but I've got the good note coming up there, and it's so those wider jumps are going to make you sound less like you're practicing scales, more like you're playing melodies. And knowing where to jump to, going to the arpeggio notes that match the chord underneath you, going to help you considerably. How about some practice routines for arpeggios? The first one we just talked about is picking a note to go up to, going up the scale and back the arpeggio. That's kind of the first step. But say you want to kind of take this to your songs, to the music that you like to play. Pick some of your current songs or the current chord progressions that you're getting used to soloing over and break them down. Write down the chords. Write down each chord that's in just take the solo section, right? The places that you would be playing a melody over. Write the chords down. Then take the time to figure out the notes in each chord. And usually if you pick the key that the song is in, most times they're going to come from the diatonic arpeggios, which we're going to be talking about in a second. Once you know the names of the chords that you're playing, map out what each note in each chord is. That's your arpeggio. Those are your strong notes. And start to practice those take 10 minutes a day to go through those songs. And as you're playing over the background track or as you're playing over the loop, make sure you're outlining those notes at first. At first, just play the arpeggios and hear how they match the chords. Once you're good with that, the next step is to add the scale of the key in as well. So you can go back and forth between those. So that's the first way to practice. The next way to practice them is to take your scale patterns that you already know and go back and find your arpeggios in the scale patterns. We want to match them together. That way we don't have to think of them as two different things. It's kind of like driving when you're playing guitar solos. You don't have a whole lot of time to think. You're mostly reacting. You see people playing solos and they're having fun. They've got their eyes closed and they're doing all this stuff. And people say, "Oh, it looks like they're just not thinking about anything. They're just feeling it." Well, they probably are. And the reason is they've done the hard work in advance. They've learned where these scale patterns are. They've learned where the arpeggios are. They're not thinking about it. They're on autopilot. So if you can take the things that you know already, you've already done the hard work, and find the arpeggio notes in those scale patterns, man, you're in good shape. You're going to start thinking of them as a unit, as one thing, not as two separate things. And that's the stop. That's where people get hung up. Okay, I'm playing my scales now. Oh, I'd like to put an arpeggio in. What's the arpeggio? Here, and by that point, it's over, right? The song has moved on. So if you're playing your scales and you can map those to there, that's the second way you could incorporate this into your practice routines. And then another way, we kind of touched on this before, going up one and back the other. So that's arpeggio up, scale back, or you could practice it this way. So I went up the scale and back the arpeggio. Thinking of them as two different devices that you could use is the first step to really getting into those things. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I say that because I always forget to do that stuff. And also make sure you pick up your free gift. It's over at PlayGuitarGroup.com. That's our Facebook group. I've uploaded a free diatonic arpeggio worksheet. Also make sure you check out all the other videos in this series, and I'll see you real soon. Thanks.